Hello everyone, welcome to your channel Shelleyz Education Center. Today in our history class, I am going to discuss a very important question of modern Indian history, and the question is India's policy of non-alignment. For India, the concept of non-alignment began as a policy of non-participation in the military affairs of a bipolar world and in the context of colonialism aimed towards optimum involvement through multipolar participation towards peace and security. Non-alignment was a policy fashioned during the Cold War to retain autonomy of policy, not equidistance, between two politico-military blocs. The non-aligned movement, NAM, provided a platform for newly independent developing nations to join together to protect this autonomy. India practiced a policy of non-alignment in an attempt to maintain sovereignty and oppose imperialism. Since its inception, the movement attempted to create an independent path in world politics that would not result in lesser states becoming pawns in the struggles between major world powers. Now, let's move to the detail of the question. India's policy of non-alignment. Foreign policy of a dependent country is meaningless as it is not possible for her to implement it. This is also applicable for India under the British rule. Yet, in its annual session, the Indian National Congress always used to analyze and express its opinion about the contemporary international matters of interest. Such opinions virtually had no impact on international politics, but these definitely helped to construct the basic structure of independent India's foreign policy. It has been pointed out by Bipin Chandra that it was marked by a great deal of consistency and continuity, and Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India, with the portfolio of foreign affairs in his hands, implemented those ideals and principles as the foreign policy of independent India. The principles were: Number 1. Promotion of world peace. Number 2. Freedom of nations. Number 3. Abolition of racism and promotion of racial equality. Number 4. The ending of colonialism and imperialism. And number 5. Non-alignment. Analyzing the various factors shaping India's policy, Professor G.F. Hudson writes, "There is first of all Gandhi's legacy of pacifism, which rebels by these principles." The perspective. One of the main pillars of India's foreign policy is non-alignment. It may be defined as a policy of having the freedom to decide each international issue on its merits, to weigh what was right or wrong, and then take a stand in favor of right. The policy of non-alignment evolved in the context of the international development after the World War II. One of the results of the war was the emergence of two superpowers. One was America and her associates constituting democratic combination, and other were the Soviet Union and its satellite states forming the social camp. The Cold War between the two groups created international tensions. There was every possibility of degeneration the Cold War into a shooting war. In this backdrop, the policy of non-alignment is of utmost importance, for in reality it means to maintain equidistance from those two blocs. Characteristic features. Jawaharlal Nehru has been considered a pioneer in the evolution of the concept of non-alignment in the post-Second World War. By way of explaining India's policy of non-alignment, Nehru said that India would maintain friendly relations with all the countries, America, Soviet Union, Britain or China. But she will stay aloof from the mutually opposed power blocs. Nehru did not fail to remind that such group politics led to the First World War, and it would be dangerous to repeat such a course. In 1947, Nehru further clarified the policy of non-alignment, saying, "We intend cooperating with the United States of America and we intend cooperating fully with the Soviet Union." The characteristic features of India's policy of non-alignment are A. Maintaining freedom of political maneuver. B. Determining foreign policy independently, taking into account the present-day independent world. C. Not to be involved in military alliances or conflicts of the superpowers. D. No neutrality in international affairs, to support or denounce international issues keeping in view the interest of our own country. The Panchshil. India's policy of non-alignment did not remain confined to mere policy statements. India, indeed, played an important role in the progress of the non-alignment movement, NAM. In the preparatory stage of the movement, as many as 3 conferences were held. The Asian Relations Conference was held twice, in 1947 and 1949 in New Delhi. The third, Bandung Conference, was held in 1955 at Bandung in Indonesia. That India played a vital role in the Bandung Conference is proved by the fact that the members adopted the policy of Panchshil, the 5 principles conducting relations among countries as proposed by Jawaharlal Nehru. The 5 principles of Panchshil were: Number 1, mutual respect for territorial integrity. Number 2, non-aggression. Number 3, non-intervention. Number 4, equality and mutual assistance. And number 5, peaceful coexistence. It may be pointed out that earlier the Panchshil had been adopted by India and China as a mark of mutual friendship in 1954. The non-alignment movement took a concrete shape and started operating on an organizational level from the Belgrade Summit Conference held at Belgrade, the capital of Yugoslavia, in 1961, in which as many as 26 non-aligned states participated. For India, the concept of non-alignment began as a policy of non-participation in the military affairs of a bipolar world and in the context of colonialism aimed towards optimum involvement through multipolar participation towards peace and security. It meant a country should be able to preserve a certain amount of freedom of action internationally. There was not set definition of non-alignment, which meant the term was interpreted differently by different politicians and government and varied in different contexts. The overall aims and principles found consensus among the movement members. Non-aligned countries, however, really attained the freedom of judgment they desired, and their actual behavior towards the movement's objectives, such as social justice and human rights, were unfulfilled in many cases. India's action often resembled those of allied countries. The response of the non-alignment nations during India's war in 1962, 1965, and 1971 revealed non-aligned positions on issues such as secession. The non-aligned nations were unable to fulfill the role of peacekeepers during the Indo-China War of 1962 and the Indo-Pakistan War of 1965, despite meaningful attempts. The non-aligned response to the Bangladesh Liberation War and the following 1971 Indo-Pak War showed most of the non-aligned nations prioritized territorial integrity above human rights, which could be explained by the recently attained statehood for the non-aligned. During this period, India's non-aligned stance was questioned and criticized. Nehru had not wanted the formalization of non-alignment, and none of the non-aligned had commitments to help each other. The international rise of China also decreased incentives for the non-aligned countries to stand in solidarity with India. India played an important role in the multilateral movements of colonies and newly independent countries that wanted to participate in the non-aligned movement. The country's place in national diplomacy, its significant size, and its economic growth turned India into one of the leaders of the non-aligned movement. The NAM, which was essentially formed as an anti-American organization during the Cold War, has lost all relevance today. Even during the Cold War, India was not strictly non-aligned. Most members of NAM were once inclined towards Soviet Union. NAM's importance has been downgraded since the end of the Cold War. This is all about India's policy of non-alignment. I believe you have gone through it well, and if you liked the discussion, inbox me with your comment. If you are new to my channel, please like, share and subscribe the channel. Press the bell icon to get more updates. So, this is for the day. Thank you.